Hi everyone, in this video let's consider a random use case where I'm going to notify random groups based on the need. For example, if there are certain stakeholders that are to be notified for an incident, then we need to include an option that maybe the incident manager, whenever he wants to do that, he has the luxury to do that instead of reassigning the ticket to different stakeholders. So we already have a couple of options available in the incident form already. One of them, as I said, is the assignment group. So only one group can be assigned to a ticket at one point in time. The other options are to include the members in the work note list or the watch list. So let's create a custom option over here so that the groups could be notified. So I'm going to use the out-of-the-box available options also to make it work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to include a link over here. For example, it could be like notify groups, and whatever group names are selected, a notification should trigger to them, and whenever it is required, incident manager, for example, can use that option to trigger notifications to the stakeholders apart from the assignment group. So let's start working on this one. So I'm going to create a UI action first. The name of my UI action as notify groups. It should be visible on update. Let's make it client side, and I'm going to make it appear as a form link under the related link section. So on link, let's call a function. And this function will be called right here. Here's the definition of this function. So I am planning to invoke a UI page over here wherein I will be adding those options where the incident manager can select the groups, and once a particular button is clicked, a notification will be sent to the stakeholders which are added. So let's use the dialog window over here. So this covers another use case of how we can call a UI page, how we can include it, how we can pass groups into it, and based on it how we can trigger a notification. So there are multiple use cases that are considered in this demo. Okay, control space to info. Here I'm going to pass the name of my UI page. So let's add a title. For example, it can be add groups. For my pop-up window that is going to open up, let's set a size, maybe. Yeah. So I'm going to include a pop-up of this size. What's next? I'm going to call this function and call dialog dot enter. So this is done now. To save some time, I've already created a UI page, and let us open the UI page module, and I'm directly going to pass the name of that UI page over here. So once it opens the list in the new tab, I'm going to So this is the UI page that I have created. So I'm going to pass this name in my UI action, and now my link should appear on any of the incident form that I'm going to open. So this is just a basic code that I have kept in the UI page so that I don't have to do much and we save some time. So I'm going to add my code in this section, which is going to utilize the out-of-the-box available macros so that that pop-up comes up with the list collector kind of option. So let's first take a look how it appears for now. So let's open any of the incidents. Yes, so the link is visible. If I click on it now, it appears something like this. So this is the title that we have set, and I have included two buttons, cancel and send email, and I am using the CSS for the ones related to what ServiceNow uses out of the box. Like if you add a destructive button on the form, it appears red in color. If you add a primary button on the form, it appears green in color. So I'm using the same CSS that ServiceNow uses so that I don't have to put much efforts in deciding the color of the buttons. Now let's add a simple code over here which will help us get those lists on the form. So I am going to include the macro. Okay, so G macro underscore invoke is the attribute which we are going to use over here, and then here I need to pass the name of the macro. So it is, as I said, an out of the box macro which I'm going to use over here. So we'll just see that in a minute. Now a specific ID for my attribute. So for example, group's email is the ID that I'm going to pass over here. Then another attribute for my tag is, let's say, control name, and I give it as groups list. And this is going to reference which table, that also I need to tell. So reference table in this case is my group table, and the name of the table is sys underscore user underscore group. I think this is more or less sufficient about what we need. Now let's take a look at the macros which are available out of the box. So I am going to navigate to my previous screen again. And let's open the macros over here. Let's search with something called list. Okay, I think this list is too big, so let's filter it by adding more specific keywords. So here you can see that we have a couple of options available, like lightweight glide list and lightweight glide list 2. So there are not much differences. It's just that the list version 2 uses the updated CSS and all that ServiceNow uses in all of its forms. So I'm going to use the lightweight glide list 2, and let's update it in the UI page. And now let's save this form. So now my pop-up is ready. It's just that I need to trigger certain functions and scripts so that an email is triggered from here. So if I now take a look at the incident, and let's say I want to click on this notify groups. Okay, so it doesn't populate yet. Let's see what did we miss? Okay, let's include one more attribute for the G macro tag, which is can underscore write, and I'm going to give it as true. Let's navigate back to the incident, reload the form, and click on notify groups now. So this option appears now because I enabled it so that it can be written. So if I click on it, I can see that the pop-up opens up with the list of groups, and I can select any number of groups over here. So test group notify one is the one that I created specifically for this demo, and I can select this one also. But if I click on send email now, nothing is going to happen because I did not configure it yet. So let's navigate back to our UI page, and here I need to do certain coding so that my function gets called. Okay, so let's do it. Let's quickly see what all functions we need to call. So first function is on cancel. So if the cancel is called, clicked on that incident, then it should close that pop-up window without doing anything, without sending a notification. So let's create this function first. So I'm going to create it in my client script. So on click of cancel button, I want to close that dialog window. So there's an out of the box function available for dialog windows, and I'm going to call that right away. So I'm going to get my glide window, then I'm going to destroy it. Like Thanos snap. Now my next function that I need to call is send group email. So this one. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I am going to trigger a notification based on an event. Now to trigger that event, I'm going to write that code in a script include, and I'm going to call my script include from this client script. So let's see how I can do that. First of all, I'm going to create a function with the same name, send group email. Firstly, I need to get the value of that group. So I gave this ID as the identifier for this particular macro invoke tag. So using this, we'll try to get the list of groups. Okay, and then I'm going to use the jQuery identifiers, which fetches the value using the ID. So if we want to fetch the value using a class, we use dot and the class name. If it is using ID, then it is hash, then ID. So this will give me the value of all the groups, all the sysids. Okay, and we'll try it out if we need to do certain changes in this code later on or not. But right now we are assuming everything on the basis of what is available on the form and how we are trying to do it. So now let me write some code for a script include. Let me quickly write that ID. Okay, so okay. So let's create a script include with this name. I am going to double verify that there is no other script included with this name. Okay, so there is none. Since I'm calling it from a client script, this should be client callable. And here I am going to add my function. So let's go back to the UI page. And there are a couple of things that I need to do here. So first of all, I'm going to pass the function name. Let's say this is the name of my function which I'm going to call from here, and the definition of this would be present in the script include. Now next is I want to pass the incident sysID. So that I can do, since the button is present on the form already, I can do get unique value. Next is I want to pass the group list as well. So the group list is directly available to me in the variable named group list. And now I can simply wrap up my glide Ajax call by doing get XML answer. And here I am going to print a function which gives me the response. And I don't have to do anything with respect to the response over here. It's just that once the call is complete, I want to simply close the dialog window. So I'll call this function again over here. So let's save this code and we'll see whether it works out or not, whether we need to do any modifications over here. So let's copy the function name, and I'm going to navigate back to my script include. The first part in my script include is that I need to get those parameters which I want to use in my code. So this is the first parameter. Now I need to fetch my next parameter, which is, okay, I don't remember the exact name. Let's quickly copy it so that we don't make a mistake by assuming the name. Okay, so I've taken here all the parameters that I needed, and now based on these parameters I can get anything from my incident record if I want to. And the second thing that I want to do over here is I have the group list, so I can trigger a notification by sending the list to the event. So let's see how we can do that. First of all, I'm going to glide through the incident module. And since I already have the sysID, I can simply do that. You can do a get on sysID, or I can use the simple method by querying and then doing next. And once I have this if condition and the navigation goes inside the if condition, I can trigger my event. So first parameter is the name of the event. So I have already created the event just to save some time. So this is my event, because it is very important that we register the event before trying to use it anywhere in our script. Second parameter is the glide record object, which is incgr in this case. Third parameter is anything that we want to pass on via the function call, via the event call, sorry. So in this case I want to pass the group list, and second parameter I want to keep it as null, and I don't want to pass any queue as the fifth parameter. So let's do it this way. Okay, so now my code is complete. I just need to test it out. So to verify whether the code is actually working or not, whether we are getting the list or not, let me put an alert over here. So as soon as I click on the send email button, it should show me the sysids of the groups that I have selected. So I'm going to save my UI page. Let's reload the form once. If I click on notify groups, and let's select any of this group. If I click on send email, it says undefined. Now why so? Because I've selected the group, I am using the ID of the macro. Could there be a problem with that? So this is the group's email ID I'm using over here, and I am passing the ID over here, so it is not working. So let's see whether what we are trying to do is correct or not. So if I add, let's say, group over here, and let me check in the developer tools whether this is the actual ID that we should be getting or we should be using in our code or not. So if you can see that there is a hidden input tag created in the backend which contains the actual value. So to verify whether this is the actual or not, let's add one more group over here, and it should show the sysid of two groups now. So this list got updated. So instead of using the ID of the macro, we need to use the ID of this input tag so as to get the groups list. So let me copy this, and the name and the ID of this input tag is based on the control name that we have passed over here in our macro. So instead of doing group list and using this ID, I am going to use the ID of what we have passed in the control name. So now let's save this UI page code, and I'm going to navigate back to my incident, reload the form. So if I click on notify groups now, let me select both the groups again. Send email, so this contains both the sysids, so this piece is working fine so far. If I click on OK, it should send the email. Let's verify in the event logs whether the event has triggered or not. Okay, so event has triggered and it has been processed as well. So I think in that case notification would also got triggered. So I hop onto the emails module. Okay, so this is the notification that was created in the backend, and I have associated the event with this notification. So this is already created by me. And if I open this, and these are the two group emails that I have associated with those groups. So let me show it to you. This group notify one. So you can see that this is the group email, and let's preview the email. So it should contain the incident details. So you can include your company logo over here and the details of the incident and any work notes, if any. Okay, so this is how we can inform stakeholders by using a custom option, like maybe a button or a link, whenever we want to do it from the incident form. Using the UI page, and this included another use case how we can pass different how we can use glide list in the UI page, and based on that how we can trigger a notification or an event. So thank you so much for watching.